What's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at one of Gigabyte's latest motherboards. It is their X99 Ultra Gaming. So let's go ahead and take a look. So before we take a look at the motherboard, let's take a look at the accessories. And this board actually comes with a lot more than what a lot of motherboards come with. Now, I'm not going to go over everything, as you can see it all laying out here. But two of the things I wanted to talk about: first, you have an RGB header extension. What that does is it actually allows you to install another RGB LED strip and control it with the motherboard's software. You also have two really nice Velcro straps that can be used to tie down cables. As we take a first look at the board itself, you can see it has that same white and red color design that we saw on Gigabyte's Z170 G1 gaming motherboards. So we have the thermal armor that has white and red, and both of the heat sinks also have a sort of white and red design. The CPU socket on the board is, of course, Intel's LGA 2011 V3 socket. This supports the brand new 5th generation Broadwell E processors as well as 4th generation Haswell E processors. The socket that is being used is referred to as the OC socket, which means that it has extra pins for certain overclocking situations. The board features a pretty hefty all-digital power design that makes use of international rectifier digital power controllers, power IR stage ICs, copper busman server level chokes, and long lifespan durable black solid caps. On each side of the CPU socket, you are going to find 4 DDR4 DIMM slots, so giving you a total of 8. So the board does support quad channel memory. Now, these slots have two new features which we haven't seen from Gigabyte before. The first is that they're reinforced with metal. We saw that on a lot of motherboards with PCI Express slots, and now we're seeing it with memory. Second, they have RGB LED strips built in. So, it's RGB everything now, so having them on the memory just makes it more awesome. Towards the top corner, you're going to find your 24-pin ATX power connection, a USB 3.0 header, RGB header, and you'll also see the CPU fan header sitting right above the DDR4 slots. As we move down the board, we have a single U.2 connector, SATA Express connector, and 8 SATA 6GB ports. You can also see the large PCH heatsink, which does have the G1 Gaming branding on it. At the bottom of the board is where you're going to find the rest of your connections and headers. So starting from left to right, we have our front panel audio header, another 4-pin RGB header, a Mulux connection to bring extra power to your PCI Express slots, your TPM header, and now if we move over, we have another 4-pin fan header, 2 USB 2.0 headers, a USB 3.0 header, another 4-pin fan header, and our front panel connections. Moving up the board to the expansion slots, we have 4 PCI Express 3.0 X16 slots and a single X1 slot. Now, the top 2 X16 slots will run at X16 speed at all times, and then moving down to the bottom 2 slots, those will run at X8 speeds if you have more than 2 graphics cards installed. This board supports 4-way SLI as well as 4-way Crossfire, and you can see that the PCI Express slots are metal shielded. In between your PCI Express slots, you're going to find 2 M.2 slots. The top slot is for an M.2 wireless module, and the bottom slot is a PCI Express 3.0 X4 M.2 slot made for M.2 SSDs. It supports M.2 SSDs up to 110 millimeters. At the far end of the board, you're going to find Gigabyte's Amp Up audio solution. This makes use of the Realtek ALC 1150 high-performance multi-channel high-definition audio codec. It features high-quality audio capacitors and has complete PCB isolation from the rest of your motherboard components. Finally, onto the rear I/O. From left to right, you have a combination PS2 port, 2 USB 3.0 ports, a place where you can mount the antennas for the Wi-Fi module, a USB 3.1 Type-C port, USB 3.1 Type-A port, 4 USB 3.0 ports, dual gigabit Ethernet, and your HD audio connections. One of the coolest features of this motherboard is all of the RGB LEDs. So you have RGB LEDs on all of the RAM slots, under all of the PCI Express slots, on the rear I/O, on the amp up audio solution, and even on the PCH heatsink. All of the RGB LEDs on the motherboard can be controlled with Gigabyte's ambient LED software. This allows you to change colors and set different modes. So you of course have your standard mode, which is a single color. There is a pulse mode, which will pulse in and out, and you can actually have it pulse between different colors. And there's finally a beat mode, which will actually go to the beat of the music or game or whatever audio you're playing at that time. And finally, since this board does have RGB headers, you can link up the RGB lights on your motherboard with RGB LED strips that you can place throughout your case. At the end of the day, Gigabyte's X99 Ultra Gaming gives you pretty much everything that you would want in an X99 motherboard, and who doesn't like all of the lights as well? So make sure you check out the full review on thinkcomputers.org. Till next time, catch you guys later.